Morning everyone, it's Mark from counsellingsupervision.com.au. Another short video. I was reading a Facebook post from an actually very good friend of mine today saying that I might not be able to control what happens to me in the world, but I can choose my response to it. I can choose what I do with it, and in my response lies my power. I like it. I like that one personally. Deeply I like it because I think that for me in my life philosophy, it's about that. And I've always held on to that belief, crap happens, shit happens, but in the way we deal with that stuff, we show what we're made of, how we can deal with that. And I really think that, again, personally, that's the way I want to live my life. And I have lived my life to this point, and I think my friend as well. I believe him to have done that. On the other hand, professionally, I realize that might not always be the case. And I put a reply to his Facebook post respectfully, but said, look, I think I've come to the conclusion in my professional world and dealing with people with trauma and with all sorts of unspeakable events happening in their lives that sometimes there's not a lot of choice left. They are no longer in control of their destiny, or at least they don't feel that they have that choice, and it requires to maybe apply a different approach to these people. And I think the counselling supervision lesson I want to take out of that and hopefully get across to you is that it's really dangerous sometimes. Dangerous is not the right word, but it's not the best thing to do to apply our worldview on top of whatever the client is experiencing. And I've done that. So I'm the first one to be guilty, especially in my early years, that thinking that we have a choice, that we can choose things, that it doesn't matter what happens to us, but we can always choose stuff, that therefore everyone else should be able to do that. So what's your problem if you can't? And I must admit that over the years, I've let go of some of that, let's call it arrogance or maybe overconfidence, because I realize now, especially as I'm learning more and more and more about trauma, and people going through traumatic experiences, that our neurobiology doesn't always allow us to choose anymore. It chooses for us because there's so much unprocessed, non-adaptive memory stuff in this neurobiology that we think we have a level of choice, but really there's no choice at all. And don't even get me started on the whole topic of free will, for instance, because that's a whole different hornet nest. I don't even want to go there. If you want to read an interesting opinion, read the book Determined by Robert Sapolsky. Eye-opener. Anyway, I'm not going there. I think the point in my rambling today that I'm trying to make is that, yes, personally, it's okay to have a certain belief, and I truly believe for myself that in my response lies my power. Certain circumstances don't define me, but if I use that same mindset, that same philosophy in working with clients and expect them to have that as well, then I'm not doing a good job as a counselor. It's that classic lesson that you probably teach in counsel, or you learn in counseling school, to go with the client's worldview, to go with the client's model of the world. And not only that, I think we need to keep neurobiology in check as well. And it's kind of topical because in 2 days I'm doing my second weekend of EMDR training, so the eye movement desensitization and reprocessing training, and it's really awesome. But it does require me to become more, let's call it humble, I think, in my approach to things, and to see that there is not always a choice. Well, maybe in a philosophical, spiritual level there is a choice, but our bodies and our brains can exert so much power over us that the whole element of choice seems to be gone. So I hope that ramble makes sense. The point I'm making is go with the client's model of the world and learn a lot of stuff about trauma, and potentially let go of your own ideas of what you think is true and how things should be done. And I know most counselors know that, but for me, it was another drive home lesson today. It's like, yeah, man, whatever you think to be true, that doesn't have to be true for clients. And in actual fact, if I believe that to be true and think it's true for everyone, I might do them a disservice. So don't do that. So I hope that makes sense. If you got questions about that or about EMDR, because EMDR is awesome, even though I'm still very much a greenie when it comes to EMDR stuff, let me know. We'll talk about it. And otherwise, until the next video. Cheers.